This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. Alan Wake 2 is finally here, and through Epic Games and Remedy I was able to play the game early on the PS5. I have only played it for a few hours, but so far I really like what I see. This is a game that seems to give you a bit of what you expect, with a lot of surprises. And I mean this in both the story and the gameplay provided. For example, at this point I have played the game for about 3 hours, really taking my time, and I have only used my gun on a few occasions, whereas the first title had you using it within the very beginning during the dream sequence. Alan Wake 2 is also made in such a way that seems to allow people with no history with Alan Wake to jump in, along with still providing a lot of mystery to those that know all of the backstory. I have no idea if the rest of the game will hold up to the high standards of the first and American Nightmare. I never thought I would see a big sequel to this title, and yet here it is.
Back to the beginning. We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever knowing the full story.
Now I think it is important to note that while I am still very early on here, I have only had the opportunity to play as Saga. The game seems to really hold back in areas where the developers would know what us historical fans would want. For example, I want a flashlight and a gun and playing as Alan as I try to survive, and oddly enough, the game has not given that to me yet. Now that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. What is provided is actually a nice surprise. By staying away from most of the marketing, I was able to go into this one pretty much blind. Remedy is a company that has yet to disappoint with each of their games, so they have built up a certain level of trust because of that, and at the same time, the opening hours of this game definitely feels like it has a lot of faith in the players for new and returning. We want to play as Alan, but at the same time, through the use of Saga, there is a potential to introduce a new protagonist for us to get attached to, along with being able to see Alan in a new light. On the topic of Saga, she starts off pretty likable. She is a family person, has a husband and a daughter, and we get a glimpse into this part of her life when she is first introduced. Along with this, her interactions with Alex shows that they have worked together for a while. They have a history. She is smart and capable, and at least so far well written. If you asked me if I wanted a Saga-like character when the sequel was announced, I probably would have said no, but now that I've had a taste of it, I like what is provided, at least so far.
A page full of text on one side. Not a printout. Written with a typewriter. Old school. Lines scratched out and edits added with a pen.
Like a manuscript.
Now while I haven't been able to control Alan yet, you can feel his presence throughout the entire experience. Everything goes back to him, or focuses on actions related to Alan. So while Alan may not be on screen all the time within the opening hours, his presence is felt everywhere. Plus, when you find manuscript pages as the story goes along, these are all read by Alan, along with showing flashes of him. It is also an interesting choice to have us control Saga, a character that is influenced or maybe even controlled by the power of Alan's writing. In the first game, we were experiencing the story through Alan that had no memory of that writing, but now we are getting similar uses of the manuscript pages, but through the eyes of someone else in the story, but not the actual writer writing them. It adds another layer of intrigue to see it from Saga's perspective. Through Saga, we are asking, why does this writer know about her? Why does it seem like he can predict events on those pages? Where are these pages coming from? And why is there a story being written that involves her by someone she has never met? It's all rather interesting stuff, and I think Remedy plays around with the concept well, by seeing the Alan Wake-like action from essentially an outsider's perspective. Now I do want to note too, maybe all of this falls apart in the end. Maybe the answers are not as interesting or as engaging as the mysteries presented themselves. But when you have a high quality opening, that is something that always deserves that praise. I was going into a sequel to 2 games that I pretty much know very well, because I have played both of the prior games several times, but now I honestly had no idea what direction we were going in with this. But as of right now, I'm on board, and I want to see how this ride turns out.
Oh no, a bear. Help. Did somebody call for a tour guide? Oh, wow. Koskela Brothers Adventure Tours.
Now, like I've said at the start, I have not used my gun much within the opening hours. This might seem a bit odd coming from someone who has played the prior 2 games, but those games had a considerable amount of consistent flashy shooting. But the opening hours to Alan Wake 2 focus more on its narrative and characters and working up to that shooting. Gameplay-wise, much of it is centered on the detective and investigation-like elements. So Saga and Alex are in Bright Falls investigating a set of murders. This means that much of the gameplay has you going about a crime scene, collecting evidence, and trying to talk to the local law enforcement along with getting input from your partner. You then take all of this stuff back to your mind place. This is essentially an area within Saga's head where you can think and put together clues from the cases that she is working on. Presentation-wise, I really love this stuff. You take clues and sort of connect them to different questions that you need answering for your case. How this is done is it honestly feels like Remedy's take on a Telltale experience, or even a bit like L.A. Noire. To clarify, it doesn't seem like you can make choices or impact the narrative based on how you go about the investigation, but rather you are going along for this linear ride, where you get to be involved in these detective aspects. So do not go in thinking that this is some detective sim, but it has detective and investigation elements that are used to enhance the storytelling. And with everything being layered on, from different mysteries to figure out from your side to main cases, it honestly is a cool way to keep everything straight and greatly assists the story as a whole. On a side note, I would love for Remedy to take some of these detective things and maybe create a full-blown detective-like game, maybe their version of L.A. Noire or something like it. I think it's within their wheelhouse. The general feel to the level seems lifted from the recent run of Resident Evil titles. Remedy feels very inspired by them. You have locations like the forest or even Bright Falls, and you can go back to those locations as well. At the same time, when you go there will be spots where you cannot get past a certain point, and it would appear that you need a piece of equipment to unlock that area. So it definitely feels a bit like Resident Evil 2 and Metroidvania-like elements where you need to earn pieces of new equipment to unlock more of the same map. Early on, exploration is pretty good. The levels are not huge themselves to the point of feeling massive, but they are distinct and just big enough with aspects to them that make them feel fully realized. Plus, the optional paths are fun to go down as well. Again, with the opening being so focused on the detective work and story rather than the action, it builds like a good thriller. And much of the optional paths provide you with additional supplies, and even pieces of intel to help flesh out the world and its characters. Some of the quality smaller elements that were found in the prior games are seen here, from the radio stations and TVs being used to deliver more to the player. As far as a start is concerned, this title had me hooked right from the get-go, and by the end of Chapter 1, I wanted to ignore all my responsibilities and just play this game. I plan on making a video that touches on how well done the opening hours are as a hook for this game. The start to a game is very important. There's so much to play, so you need to start strong or build effectively. As I keep playing Alan Wake 2 more, I will report back with future videos. Let me know if you'd like to see more Alan Wake videos. Are you interested in this game? Did you play the prior ones? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.